Tim, go ahead and co-host Mike, and we can see if he checks in with us.
I did. We'll see if that if he unmutes himself here in a second.
Okay. Because I think he's on his phone at work, so it's probably hard to flip back out of Zoom to text.
Okay, yeah, like I said, I can hear you just fine through Zoom, so he should be able to hear us if that's Mike.
Okay. All right. Good evening. Welcome to the special meeting of the Board of Education for our superintendent finalist selection. If we could rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Middlestat, could you please call the attendance?
Okay. Ms. Burkmeyer.
I am here.
Mr. Green.
Here in New Baltimore, Michigan.
Ms. Knox.
Here.
Mr. Richards.
Here.
Mr. DeRue.
Here.
Mr. Middlestat, New Baltimore. Mr. Moses.
Hold on, he's texting me. I think he's having problems.
My name is Mike, but I am not Mr. Moses.
Thank you.
All right, yeah, that was the only mic that I seen on there. So unless he has a different name.
He said it's telling him now he has the wrong meeting ID. So I'm trying to get it up for him here.
Did you find it, Ms. Burkmeyer?
I am. All right, I had sent him the direct link to join, if you could check for him again.
Okay, we got him.
Okay, Mr. Moses, are you there for attendance?
He's on, but it shows no microphone for him at all, like he doesn't have any kind of microphone.
Ms. Burkmeyer, would it be easier to call him on a speakerphone there by one of you four and just put him on your microphone?
I think he's gonna attempt real quick to call into the Zoom through phone number. So I'm gonna let him do that real quick. Tim, is it possible to put the phone up to the speaker?
Hold on one more second.
Can anybody hear me?
Yes, we have you. If you could let us
Sorry
know
about
where
that,
you
guys.
are calling in from.
I'm from Wyandotte, Michigan.
All right, thanks.
Okay, thank you. So tonight we're going to go forward. We had 5 candidates interview this week. Mr. Patrick Adams, Mr. Kenneth Weaver, Mr. John Dean, Mr. Todd Bidlack, and Mr. Philip Jankowski. And tonight we're going to obtain or try to obtain a board consensus to move on to another round of interviews. What I'm going to ask the board to do is if we can go around, hold our rationales, and hopefully just give your 2 for the first time around here, let's give our consensus or give your two candidates that you'd like to see move forward so that we can kind of gather if we already have a consensus or what we're gonna, at that point, we can decide how to proceed from there. Okay? So I will start with Ms. Knox.
The candidates that best reflect the needs and wants outlined in our candidate profile for me are Dr. Patrick Adams and Mr. Philip Jankowski.
Thank you. Mr. Green.
The two candidates that I would like to see move forward in the process in alphabetical order are Dr. Dean and Mr. Jankowski.
Thank you. Mr. Richards.
First, I'd like to thank everyone that interviewed during the first round. I was very impressed with every interview. There's no doubt in my mind any of the 5 candidates would help make Anchor Bay the amazing district we deserve to be. My 2 choices for round 2 are John Dean and Philip Jankowski.
Okay, Mr. Middlestat.
Yes, the two that I'd like to see would be John Dean also and Phil Jankowski.
Thank you. Mr. DeRue.
The 2 I'd like to see are Mr. Patrick Adams and Mr. John Dean.
Thank you. Mr. Moses.
The 2 I would like to see are Dr. John Adams and Mr. Phil Jankowski.
Did you mean Patrick Adams or John Dean?
Yes, I'm sorry. I am so sorry. Dr. Patrick Adams.
Thank you. And as the other said, I feel that we had a wide range of good candidates, and the 2 that I would like to proceed at this time with is Mr. Philip Jankowski and John Dean.
So I was telling your choices. 6 of you expressed an interest in advancing Philip Jankowski, 5 for John Dean, 3 for Patrick Adams.
Okay.
Madam Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a motion that we interview John Dean and Philip Jankowski for round 2.
Okay.
Support.
So the motion by Mr. Middlestat that we move forward with Mr. John Dean and Mr. Philip Jankowski, supported by Mr. Green, and I will open the floor for discussion.
I know for me, I didn't, in the 2 that I didn't have Mr. Jankowski, but he definitely was up there, so I'm in for Mr. Jankowski and Mr. Dean, unless there's an appetite for this board to move to 3, which I would like to see, but I'm also good with the 2 if that's where the board wants to go.
Well, I went Adams and Jankowski. Dean was a very, very close next choice for me, so I would be fine with moving forward with that as well.
With 3 candidates or with 2?
With 2.
Okay. Okay.
My only thought, Madam President, is that to Mr. Drew's point of adding 3, it certainly was a close vote. But I would like to refer back to, the consultant that we did hire to guide us through the process. He got us down to the 5 that we got down, and has obviously recommended that we try to get it to 2. as we move forward. So I would support the two candidates. That's obviously why I support the motion, and I'm not sure I want to personally see it spread to the third.
Okay.
I agree with Mr. Green. I think, we've got a quorum on two candidates. I think it was very close with all five. They were all very highly qualified candidates. I'm okay with moving forward with just two.
Okay. So it sounds like, the three votes for Mr. Adams, two of the individuals were okay with moving forward with two candidates, and is that okay to move forward? Okay.
Yeah, like I said, I thought Mr. Jankowski did a great job, so to interview him, I think those are two great picks that we'll have, and either one of them to run this district is going to be good, so hopefully next week we'll learn some more about both of them.
Okay. Looking like there's no further discussion, Mr. Middlestat, would you like to call the roll for this motion, please?
Okay, Mr. Middlestat, yes. Mr. Green?
Mr. Middlestat, for the sake of clarity for those at home, can you reread what the motion is?
Okay, the motion is for the second round that we would promote John Dean and Philip Jankowski.
Thank you.
Mr. Green, are you still with us?
Well, I'll come back to him. Mr. Moses,
Yes.
Ms. Burkmeyer,
Yes.
Ms. Knox,
Yes.
Richards,
Yes.
Mr. DeRue,
Yes.
and we'll wait for Mr. Green.
Can you hear me, Madam President?
Yes, we can.
I honestly didn't hear the vote, but I guess it doesn't matter. I did second the motion. So unless it changed, my vote would be yes to interview Jankowski and Dean.
Yes, that was the
Yes,
motion.
the vote was unanimous.
Great.
Almost anonymous because I couldn't be on the phone. So yes then. Yes to the motion.
All right, thank you. The motion passes. Congratulations to Mr. Dean and Jankowski, and to Mr. Adams, Bidlack, and Weaver. We sincerely thank you for your participation this week and for your thoughtful responses and time consideration this week as well, and wish you very well as you move forward in your careers. Okay, at this point we will move to open forum. We can accommodate open forum in-house or virtual. Mr. Sizemore, are there any submissions? I believe I was aware of one submission, Mr. Brian Powers. Yes. Where do I go? You could come up to the podium. There's one up there. See if it turns on.
Is that on?
Yep.
So I've watched every minute of this process from the very beginning, and I can't imagine it going any better than it has. I think it's been conducted in an incredibly professional manner. I think the 5 candidates that the 7 board members chose bring an incredible amount of experience and expertise to the table, and part of that is your expertise. So I think they made a good decision from the beginning in choosing you to help guide them through that. And I gotta say, I can't agree more with the two candidates that were selected as finalists. I think no matter which one you ultimately choose to be our next superintendent, our district is gonna be in great hands. And so now we have the nice luxury of just kind of focusing on who's gonna be the best fit for Anchor Bay. And that's a nice luxury to have. One thing that personally I would like to see next week as we move into the next phase and we interview these finalists is I'd like to see board members be willing to kind of sometimes follow their intuition and their instincts and go off script when it's appropriate. And I know your binders of scripts have decades of expertise, and they did a great job. I know when you're going through 5 candidates, trying to get that down to 2, scripts help you stay on task, organized, prevents things from going sideways. But, you know, at this point, we're looking for separation. We're looking for distinction between the 2 candidates. And you don't always get that through scripts. And sometimes a candidate's going to give you an answer that piques your curiosity, positively or negatively. And I would just like to ask you to keep an open mind and stay curious. And if that means, you know, asking 2-3 levels of questions off the script to get to a point where you're comfortable with an answer, we do that because, you know, that's how you get the best candidate, by asking the best questions. And I'm sure 90% of the best questions are going to be in those binders, but if they're not, I would hope that we'd be willing to go off script. So again, thank you for the process. As a member of the community, I think it's important not only to have confidence in the candidate that you hire, but the process that you use. And it's been very professional. There's been no bickering. You've all pretty much been on the same page from day one. And I think this entire community will be able to get behind whoever our next superintendent is because of the way that it's been conducted. So thank you, and look forward to seeing the next steps next week. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, sir. Lisa or Tim, are there any virtual submissions for open forum?
I do not see any, no.
Okay, thank you. Well, at this point, I guess I will amend the agenda a little bit if there's any board members who might want to make a comment as we move forward to the next round. But either way, go ahead.
Can you give an update on what process will be next week for the audience?
Yep. So Monday, our candidates, Monday and Tuesday, the 2 finalists are scheduled. I don't know who on which day yet, but they will be meeting with stakeholders during the day. I believe that starts at about 1 o'clock.
I can give you the schedule if you'd like.
Okay, go ahead.
They'll be meeting with students at 1 o'clock here, everything at the high school. 2 o'clock, administrators, 3:30 staff members, 4:30 parents and community members. I know a message went out today, and those meetings for administrators, staff members, and parents and community are open to anybody who fits that category. It's not limited. The students are going to be selected by the high school principal. And then the candidate takes about a 90-minute break in between, get a bite to eat perhaps, take a little bit of a mental break, back here at 7 o'clock for second round interview.
And just to confirm what Mr. Silveri spoke with us yesterday, is he's encouraging the board members to not attend these
Thank you.
these sessions as parents and community members, to give our other stakeholders a chance to speak with the candidates without us sitting there. So we won't be around during that time.
Which is why, that's a great point, thank you. It's going to be so critical, and I'll be pushing this for the participants to then go to the link that we're providing to give feedback to you folks, because otherwise you really don't benefit from those stakeholder meetings.
Correct. So all those stakeholders, like you said, will be encouraged to utilize the online link to give us that feedback. While we will continue that same evening, Monday and Tuesday evening at 7 next week, we will reconvene and conduct further interviews with each of those candidates. The selection between those 2 candidates, though, is not going to be immediate like this week was. Right. So the following week after that, there will be site visits to their current places of employment by some board members, and it won't be until, I believe, the week following that where the board will actually, make a determination between those 2 candidates. So there will be a little bit more drawn out time in this next round of the process. And that is, as Mr. Silveri kind of selected this calendar with us, typical for
Yes.
this part of the process. So don't feel either, there will be more instances of interaction of the board and these candidates in the upcoming, not just Monday and Tuesday, but going forward as well.
Yes. And then you are scheduled for Wednesday, May 12th, and I believe that's a regular board meeting, is that right?
Yes, we had chose the regular scheduled board meeting, and we will have this on the agenda on that night, and then, as well as our regular business. Okay?
I just want to address with Mr. Cervelli and to build on what Mr. Powers was saying, and I agree with you, and I want the parents out there to know, I mean, definitely there was questions when we were interviewing these candidates that we could have followed up with. I mean, when you're dealing with stock questions, I mean, I interview apprentices, and there's always more, but it was my understanding we weren't really supposed to do that, so you're judging every one of them on the same question, so you're not pushing back on different things. Is that different next week, where we would do that? Just so the parents know that we're not up here just mailing it in or anything, because there's definitely more questions that could have been asked.
So
That was a good point. That's all I was getting at.
That's a great question. What to me would, and you're right, the point being, and this comes from, again, we've been doing this type of work for decades, heck, and what we try to do is provide an equivalent opportunity where every candidate gets the same questions asked by the same people in the same order and within the same time frame to answer them. And I think you could see from the first round that with some of the candidates, several of them with an up to a 90-minute interview,